All right, the axis of evil, you probably saw the pictures in the tape and so forth, China and North Korea and, of course, Russia. Awfully bad stuff. Joining us is Gordon Chang, Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow, a chap who knows a lot about this. Gordon, just looking at it, the axis of evil, it looks like a very bad thing. It looks like, to some extent, they're thumbing their nose at the United States. They're in Shanghai for this meeting and all this fancy Chinese hardware, blah, 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 blah. What are we going to do about it? What does it mean to you that they've done this?
Well, I think Xi Jinping is just trying to show how strong China is. He's doing that primarily for the Chinese people. Because the Communist Party is insecure, he wants to show that the Communist Party is responsible for the great rejuvenation of China. But the secondary audience is the rest of us, and they're trying to intimidate us into submission, which is why we saw all these nuclear-tipped missiles in this parade, including their new one, the DF-61, which looks like a monster, Larry. But I think that this betrays a weakness because, you know, as that ancient Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu said, when weak, appear strong. And Xi Jinping, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, this Communist Party, this communist media is really going off the charts in terms of trying to intimidate us with their weaponry.
Well, I think to some extent, it looks to me as an amateur, but it looks to me like they're snubbing, they're sort of rubbing our nose in it. They're insulting us, basically. We haven't made, President and his cabinet have not yet made the key decisions, let's say regarding Russia, okay? Are we going to turn off Russian oil? China's still buying Russian oil, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't done, I mean, that has lingered on, and so it kind of looks like they're just in our face.
Yeah, well, Xi Jinping has been telling foreign delegations, including American ones, and he's certainly been telling the rest of the world that the United States is finished. You mentioned Russian oil. Well, on August 6th, we imposed an additional 25% tariff on India for buying Russian oil. We did not impose that tariff on China. And the Indians, of course, are upset because they're saying it's unfair. But what the Chinese are saying is, look, this proves that President Trump is afraid of us grand Chinese because he won't impose that tariff on us because we're buying more Russian oil than the Indians are, and he still won't touch us.
And the Europeans are still buying Russian oil. That came up in the show last night. Look, it's, we could turn off the whole payment system of these countries with respect to American business if we wanted to in about 15 minutes. And I've talked about that at some length, but nothing's being done. And so you have this militaristic parade and they're holding hands and so forth and so on. And it just seems like there ought to be either the Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense or the President himself. Now, Mr. Trump is a very shrewd man, as we both know, so he's looking for the right time. But I'd like to see something come of this.
Well, you know, you talked about the Russians and money laundering and all of that and oil. Well, you know, earlier this week, the Treasury Department issued that big report on Chinese money laundering because Chinese money launderers have actually taken over the global business. We can shut that down immediately.
Yes.
Section 311 of the Patriot Act declare them to be a primary money laundering concern, which they are because they're laundering all the world's drug money, including the fentanyl money, Larry. So the Treasury could just stop this in a moment. President Trump can call up, you know, Bessent and say, look, I'm done with this.
We could take him out of the SWIFT payment system. We could take him out of the Fed wire payment system. I mean, we have awesome financial capabilities. But anyway, we'll see. I'm sure the president's cooking something up, but we'll see. Gordon Chang, thank you ever so much, as always.